story of two individuals. Let's start with Rajkumar first. 45-year-old Rajkumar met with an accident in October 2020 when he was crossing the railway tracks near his house on his bicycle. He was run over by the train and he lost both his hands over there. Became dependent on others for his day-to-day activities. He was a painter by profession. Needed his hands, no? But he lost all hope until the March of this year, March of 2024. A miraculous surgery, one that lasted 12 hours, and the doctors of Gangaram Hospital performed a successful, what is now called a bilateral hand transplant, and gave him both his hands back, as you can see on your screen. Yes, hand transplant, and we were as stunned as you were. The surgery involved connecting every artery, every muscle, every tender and nerve between the recipient's arm and the donor's hands, but it was done miraculously. It is indeed fantastic work by the doctors, and we will meet them on the program shortly from now. But it is not just a scientific discovery that would have, or a marvel that would have made this possible. The hero in the story is the donor. The only way the doctors could have performed the surgery is they had a matching donor. And on that note, it's time to meet the hero, Meena Mehta. 62-year-old Meena was a retired vice principal from Delhi's Greenfield School. An unfortunate brain hemorrhage meant that she was declared brain dead and there was no chance of a survival or chance of leading a normal life. But Meena had pledged all her organs to be used after her death. Not only her hands now, as we know, have changed this painter's life for the better, but her organs changed the life of 3 more individuals. Kidney, liver, cornea, all have gone to 3 other patients, all of whom continue to lead a beautiful life. What a marvelous way to die or to go, right? By giving so many others around you a beautiful reason to live. Now, that story is a story of hope, and that certainly brightened up our day. So we had to speak to all the stakeholders like we always do. Joining us now on the program is Rajkumar, the painter, the recipient of these hands, who now gets to lead a really nice life. We hope so. He's still in recovery. Rajkumar ji, namaskar. हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया.
धन्यवाद.
राजकुमार जी, मैं देख पा रही हूँ कि आपके हाथ में अभी सर्जरी के बाद काफ़ी अभी टाइम लगेगा ठीक होने में, पर हमने वो वीडियो देखा कि कैसे आप अपने हाथ हिला पा रहे थे, मूव कर पा रहे थे. आई विल रिक्वेस्ट माय प्रोड्यूसर्स टू प्ले द वीडियो वेयर यू कैन एक्चुअली सी हिम यूजिंग हिज हैंड्स एंड हाउ लाइफ has gone for the better for him. But राजकुमार जी, अभी जब हाथ वापस लग गए, मैं पहले जानना चाहती हूँ कि अभी पेंट ब्रश उठाने का मन कर रहा है फिर से?
अभी नहीं मैडम, आगे चल के उठा सकते हैं. आगे चल के उठा
उम्मीद
सकते
है कि आगे चल के उठा सकते हैं.
हाँ जी.
कभी सोचा था कि किसी और के हाथ ऐसे इस्तेमाल में आएंगे आपके, और कैसे आपकी लाइफ अभी बदलने वाली है?
ना हमने तो अपना जीवन खो दिया था, बाकी हम सोच भी नहीं सकते थे कि ये हमारा हाथ नया लग जाएगा, चमत्कार हो जाएगा. ऐसा तो हम सोच भी नहीं सकते. गंगाराम में बड़ा धन्यवाद करता हूँ उन लोगों को, डॉक्टरों को.
और मीना जी, जिनके हाथ लगे, जो मैच हो पाए. We seem to have got a glitch on his audio. While we fix that line with him, let me also cut across. Let's cut across to the doctors as well. Joining us now is Dr. Mahesh Bangal. He is the chairperson of the Department of Plastic and Cosmetic Surgery at Gangaram Hospital. Joining us is also his colleague who's been helping him, and the whole team of doctors who actually helped make this entire miracle happen. Dr. Mahesh, welcome to the program. Thanks so much and congratulations. That's my first instinct. What a beautiful way to have given somebody a life back. Somebody to go back on, they say go back on their feet, but go back and paint, do beautiful things with their hands. And what a beautiful way to actually say goodbye to one life, to actually make use of it. So, you know, my first question is, of course, this is a huge, great effort by your team. I'm told the surgery lasted for about 12 hours and it's not an easy one. Tell us the entire process. How long did it take to actually make it happen? And how common is really hand transplant in India?
Good morning, ma'am. And hand transplant is not very common in India. It has been started, first hand transplant has been done in Cochin in Amrita Hospital. And later on, nowadays only 2-3 centers are mainly doing a hand transplant. But in North India, this is the first center which we did a bilateral hand transplant. What happened is that for doing any transplant, we have to take permission from the government. We have taken permission from the Delhi government. And we have few patients in our list who wanting or whose life can be improved by hand transplant. But the problem which we were facing is to finding a suitable donor. For finding a suitable donor is a very difficult problem because people are willing to donate other organs like kidney, liver, heart, but even people are not knowing that hand can be transplanted. So they are not aware about this process. So they are not even know that hand can be donated or it can be used for another person to change their life. So that is the main issue with us, that how or from where we find a suitable donor. Because donor has to be matched along with their blood group and other tissue matching. So we find few donors, but according to their matching, it was not possible for Rajkumar. So finally what happened is that in our hospital, our own hospital, we find a donor, Mrs. Mehta. As you already explained about the Mrs. Mehta. So as soon as we were informed that there is one patient in our ICU which is brain dead and they want to donate their hands, so we called the Rajkumar and we admitted him, and tissue matching was done and everything was perfect. So we planned the operation. And we have a big team basically. We have a big team. Myself, Dr. Gambhir, Dr. Anubhav Gupta, Dr. Bhim Nanda, Dr. Nikhil Junjunwala, and there are many other junior doctors and anesthetists, orthopedician, Dr. Brajesh Nanda. We have a whole team of, because
and Dr. Nikhil is sitting right there as well. I know. Right. And I know Dr. Nikhil also played a crucial and a critical role in making this happen. Dr. Nikhil, tell us a little bit about hand transplants. And this could apply, I'm assuming, to legs as well, to other sort of organs in the body. So a lot of us know about eye donation, a lot of us know about other internal organs. But like Dr. Mahesh was rightly pointing out, there is still a bit of taboo involving limbs. Right, because when you say your goodbye, when you cremate body or when you bury the body, those parts are then missing. And I understand it's difficult for families to take that call and actually make it happen. Also, interestingly, while we were speaking earlier, you pointed out that when hands are actually, it's a critical moment when the hands have to be taken from the donor. Explain to us what exactly happens.
Good morning, everyone. See, what happens is when you take an external organ, because of our religious beliefs and all, the donors don't really have an attitude to do hand donation, because in our Hindu religion, everybody wants to cremate the body with external organs intact. You can open the abdomen, you can take all the internal organs, but they don't want to donate the external organs. This is what happened to us for the last 1 year. But Mrs. Mehta was like quite willing, and she was very, very supportive to, and the family was very supportive to donate all her organ. And hand transplant, I will say about hand transplant, India is going to be a leader in the world in hand transplant, because it's already been going on in South India, and this was the first case in Delhi. And we have got so many calls from other patients who have lost their hand to get their hand transplanted. So we want to make awareness about in the general public to make more and more donation of hand, so that everybody who has lost their hand can get a hand and get a new life, so that they can support their family.
That's right. You're absolutely right. We have the tech, we have the infrastructure required to do it. We have the doctors trained to do it and do it successfully. All we need is proactive donation, and all we need is awareness to be driven home that people can actually do this and change lives. I'm told we have Rajkumar back with us. Rajkumar ji, मेरी आवाज इस समय आ पा रही है आपको?
हाँ जी
जी राजकुमार जी, अभी आपके हाथ वापस आ गए हैं, डॉक्टर्स ने इतना बढ़िया काम किया. अभी आप अगर मीना जी की फैमिली जिनके हाथ आपको मिले फाइनली, उनसे कुछ कह सकते तो क्या कहते?
उनका मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ कि जो हमारा नया जीवन दान दिया है, उनसे मैं बहुत खुश हूँ.
जी, और अभी हाथ आपने जब करा, कितना टाइम लगेगा रिकवरी में? कब तक आपको डॉक्टर्स बता रहे हैं कि आप वापस जा सकते हैं? आप पेंटिंग करते थे पहले, वापस पेंटिंग कर सकते हैं?
5-6 महीना बता रहे थे.
जी जी.
हाँ 6 महीना लगा.
All right. Can I go back to Dr. Mahesh on that note? Dr. Mahesh, will life go back to normal and usual for Rajkumar? Or are there some things that, there are limitations to this?
Actually, what happened that in hand transplant, it is not like a kidney and liver. Once you attach the kidney and liver, they start functioning basically. If you do a kidney transplant, they start filtering the urine immediately basically. Particularly in hand, it is not like this. In hand, what happened that it all depend on regeneration of our nerve. And because of the nerve, because they give current to the muscles, and then they work, and then our hand work basically. So what happened is when we join the nerve, it grows very gradually and very there is a speed of growing of a nerve. A nerve grow 1 millimeter per day. So when we join the nerve at one place, say in this case we have joined the nerve above the elbow, so it takes minimum 6 to 8 months to reach to the muscles so that he can move his fingers. So I think it will take 6 to 8 months to move his fingers, and nearly maybe another 6 to 8 months to do a fine movements of the fingers. So I think 1 to 1.5 year will be the time that he will do a reasonably good function by the hand. But 100% function is not possible, particularly in these replants. Maybe he will be able to do a 70 to 80% of the functions. So I think it's a good reasonable function so that person can enjoy or can earn his life. So that is what happened in a hand transplant cases.
All right. So do you know what day it is today? And please don't tell me, Sonal, it's Tuesday, 12th of March. Well, it's not just that. It is Working Moms Day. You heard it right. We celebrate Women's Day, we celebrate Mother's Day, but what about hustlers like us? The life of a working mom is not easy. They clean, they feed, they balm your soul, and then they also pump themselves up to go out and earn you their bread. It is seriously not as simple as it sounds. But if there is one country where we have nailed it, in fact, one state, one city, where working mothers absolutely rule, it is here in India, in Maharashtra, in Mumbai. Now, all of you know that I recently moved to Mumbai, and here, since I've come, I just noticed so many women working day in and day out. Just look at those pictures in the metros, on the streets. I leave home at 4:30 in the morning to get to work and to ensure that you get a fabulous day, leaving my 10-month-old behind. But there are so many others like me, and perhaps even less privileged ones. So we thought, let's dedicate this morning and start with what they believe is the mantra to do it all, what they really need today, and perhaps what is it that the recognition is that is required on Working Moms Day. So we thought hard about it and we said we can interview lots of celebrities. They will come and they will talk about how it is. And it is hard at different stages for different people. But perhaps not so much as our next guest on the program. Meet Shehnaz Khan and तनवीर सैयद. नमस्ते.
नमस्ते.
हमारे स्टूडियो पे आने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. So Shehnaz और तनवीर, they are moms, they are working moms, they work in the house cleaning department and they ensure that all of us go into very clean environments and come and have a really good time at work as well, and they're always smiling. So I thought let's get them on the program. I really want to know their story and I'm sure so do you. So Shehnaz, मैं आपसे पहले शुरू करती हूँ. पहले मुझे बताइए आप कितने बजे उठती हैं सुबह?
आज तो मैं उठी हूँ 3 बजे. रमज़ान शुरू हो चुका है, उसके वजह से जल्दी उठना पड़ा और तैयारी करनी थी, सहरी करनी थी, बच्चों को उठाना था, सब करना था. उसके वजह से हम जल्दी उठ के सहरी करें. और कंफर्म मैं 5 बजे घर से निकल चुकी हूँ नहा धो कर, क्योंकि मेरी ट्रेन थी. 2 घंटा मुझे सफ़रिंग लगता है आने
2 घंटा लगता है
जी
ऑफिस आने में? जी,
मैं विरार से आती हूँ. तो वैसे उठ के खाना पानी किया, बच्चों लोग को उठाया, उनको भी रमज़ान के लिए सहरी कराई. उसके बाद फिर मैं करीबन नहा धो के 5 कम था तभी मैं निकल गई घर से, क्योंकि मुझे ट्रेन पकड़ना था. और 5:20 की ट्रेन थी मेरी. वो पकड़ कर फिर मैं यहाँ पे पहुंची. 2 घंटे लगे मुझे आने में. उसके बाद आकर फिर यहाँ काम अपना चालू किया. काम करने के बाद यही है लाइफ हमारी.
ट्रेन में जगह मिलता है बैठने का खड़े होकर?
मॉर्निंग के टाइम पे तो मिल जाती है थोड़ी बहुत, लेकिन
जल्दी निकलते हो
जी, और बाकी टाइम नहीं मिलती. विरार ट्रेन सोच के लोग डर जाते हैं.
खड़े खड़े
जी,
हाँ,
2 घंटा खड़े खड़े. कभी 4th सीट मिल गई तो मिली नहीं तो वो भी नहीं. 4th सीट पे भी अनकंफर्टेबल थोड़ा सा सर को नहीं स्पेस ही नहीं है यहाँ यार, कहाँ सरकेंगे हम.
हाँ.
थोड़ा भी
पर
नहीं
आप
है.
कैसे अच्छे से स्माइल करके हमें बता रहे हैं? ये तो रोज का है. मुझे
क्या
सोच
करें?
के
वो संभालने वाले हैं, ताकत दे रहे हैं, हम चल रहे हैं, बस उनकी मेहरबानी है.
और आपके तो आप बच्चों को उठाती हैं, उनका सहरी कराया, उनका खाना पीना कराया.
और जो नहीं रख रहे हैं, जैसे छोटे हैं जो, उनका टिफिन वगैरह, उनका मम्मी मेरा बैग में डाला के नहीं बुक्स. हाँ बेटा टाइम टेबल रख दिया, आपका पैड रख दिया है, आपका ये रख दिया, मतलब एग्जाम चालू है. बड़े बच्चों के उनका सब ये रख दिया. हाँ मेरा टिफिन, मम्मी मेरा बॉटल, बेटा आज थोड़ा देख लो, आज बहुत लेट हो गया मुझे. ऐसा बोल के निकलना पड़ता है, क्या करें. लेकिन जितना हो सकता है हम कोशिश करते हैं कि हम अपना पूरा बेटर दे सके बच्चों को.
और फिर यहाँ पर आके काम करना है. फिर कितने बजे काम खत्म होता है यहाँ से?
यहाँ हम अभी मॉर्निंग में आ रहे हैं तो 4 बजे छूटते हैं. 4 बजे छूट के फिर भागना है स्टेशन. फिर वही रनिंग, भागो 15 मिनट में पहुँचना है स्टेशन, नहीं तो गाड़ी चली जाएगी. ऐसे ही है हमारी लाइफ. और फिर घर पर जाके फिर वही काम, रूटीन, सब्जी लाना है, बाजार लाना है, ये आज ये खत्म हो गया.
तो काम खत्म करके फिर मंडी जाना है, सब्जी लाना है, फिर बनाना है, फिर खिलाना है, फिर बर्तन धोना है. और सब करके फिर सोना है और कल सुबह फिर 3 बजे उठना है.
जी, सोते
हे भगवान.
सोने के लिए सोचना पड़ता है कब सोएंगे हम.
कितना घंटे का नींद मिलता है? आपका इतना डार्क सर्कल्स हो रहा है. मेरा भी मेकअप से छुप गया है वैसे, बट
मुझे अभी तो 4 घंटा.
4 घंटा बस.
हाँ, मॉर्निंग शिफ्ट मुझे बहुत खा लेती मुझे मॉर्निंग शिफ्ट बिल्कुल नहीं अच्छी लगती.
हाँ, पर अभी रमजान की वजह से
रमजान की वजह से 1 महीना
तनवीर ऐसे ही चलता है यहाँ पर. मैं इतनी महिलाओं से मिलती हूँ, सब मुझे यही बताती है, अरे मैडम ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है, सब कुछ करना है घर जाके, पर सब हंसते हंसते करते रहते हैं.
अपनों के लिए तो करेंगे तो कुछ मालूम नहीं पड़ता है, ये तो है. माँ है तो फिर अपनी जिम्मेदारी भी होती है कि पूरा हमको अच्छे से अच्छा करना है, कि आज हम उनके लिए मेहनत करेंगे तो कल उनकी लाइफ सेट है, ऐसा है. और आज का तो जो हिसाब से है, अगर नहीं माँ बाप ध्यान देते तो फिर बच्चों का बहुत बुरा हाल होता है. ऐसा है. हमारी फैमिली के लिए तो हमको करना ही पड़ेगा ना. हम नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा. ऐसा
ये तो है. मुझे इतना बुरा लगता है घर छोड़ते वक्त. मेरी 10 महीने की लड़की है, मैं भी उसको सुबह बाय बाय नहीं बोल पाती हूँ. मुझे लगता है चलो काम करके आना है, बट लगे रहते हम सभी कि उसको भी कुछ इंस्पिरेशन मिले, काम करे, सब होए. लेकिन आज जैसे वर्किंग मॉम्स डे, आपको पता था ऐसा कोई दिन होता है?
जी नहीं,
आज पता चला है.
आपको लगा ये तो लाइफ है?
जी, ये तो रोज का हमारी लाइफ ही है, चल रही है.
तो आज के दिन अगर आपके लिए कोई कुछ कर सकता, अगर घर पे शौहर सुन रहे हैं ये बात, अगर बच्चे सुन रहे हैं ये बात, उनको कुछ बता सकते हैं, आप लोग क्या चाहते हैं? लाइक क्या एक चीज़ अपने लिए करना चाहते हैं? सबके लिए तो हमेशा करते हैं सुबह से रात तक.
अपने लिए ही तो कर रहे हैं हम, हमारे बच्चे आगे बड़े बने वो हमारे लिए ही है।
क्या है?
बस हम उसमें ही खुश है। बस हम जो दिन देख रहे हैं अल्लाह उनको वो दिन ना दिखाए, हमारे बच्चे हमसे बहुत आगे बढ़े, हम यही चाहते हैं। बस हमारे जैसे उनकी लाइफ स्पेंड ना हो, जितनी
उनको
मेहनत
3 बजे सुबह ना उठना
अल्लाह ना करे 3 बजे उठना पड़े, आराम से सुकून की नींद सोए, हर चीज उनके अच्छे हो, यही हम चाहते हैं। वो सुकून से रहेंगे तो हमारी लाइफ ठीक है।
आई नो तन्वी।
हमारे तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, मतलब अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि मैं अभी सर्विस करके मेरे बच्चे तो अच्छे बड़े माशाल्लाह, और मैंने मेहनत की तो मेरी मेहनत रंग लाई। मेरी बेटी भी पढ़ लिख के आज सीए बन चुकी है ये साल।
ओह क्या बात है।
जी
क्या
हाँ,
बात है।
मेहनत करने पर बोलते ना, हम माँ बाप मेहनत नहीं करेंगे और बच्चे ध्यान नहीं देंगे तो कैसा होगा। अल्लाह ने मतलब नवाजा, जो हमने नहीं सोचे थे अल्लाह ने वो पूरा किया। मेहनत करने वाले के साथ तो बेशक अल्लाह है। ऐसा
तो अभी घर पे आप जैसे जाते हैं तो बच्चे हस्बैंड रिकग्नाइज करते हैं कि इतना बहुत थक गए हो गया, आज मम्मी बैठ जाओ, आज मैं काम करता हूँ, ऐसा होता है कभी?
होता है कभी कभी,
कभी
बच्चों को
कभी।
प्यार आता है तो
तो जैसे मैं पूछ रही थी, जैसे सबकी सारी वर्किंग मॉम्स की लाइफ टफ होती है। मुझे तो लगता है सारी मॉम्स ही वर्किंग मॉम्स होती हैं यार। घर पे रहना
घर
भी
में
बहुत बड़ा
रहना
काम है।
जो घर में रहते हैं तो भी और ज्यादा काम रहता है, क्योंकि हमारे सैटरडे संडे के दिन या कोई दिन छुट्टी रहेगी, उस दिन हमको डबल काम करना पड़ता है। हफ्ते भर का जो रहेगा वो उसका मतलब ऐसा लगता है कि अरे इससे अच्छा काम पर चले जाते तो बेहतर रहता।
हफ्ते भर का काम उस दिन निकलता है,
हाँ,
ये निकाल लो वो निकालो
वो निकालो। बट ये अच्छा भी लगता है कि आप पैसे भी कमा पा रहे हैं, घर भी चला पा रहे हैं, उनको अच्छा संस्कार भी दे पा रहे हैं, सब अच्छे से पढ़ा भी पा रहे हैं। लेकिन मैं वही जानना चाहती हूँ, जिससे सारे लोग जो देख रहे हैं उनको समझ में तो आए कि भाई कितना टफ होता है। अगर वो आपके लिए कुछ कर सकते हैं आज तो क्या होता?
हमारे लिए क्या कर सकते हैं
इतना सोचना पड़ रहा है
जी।
अभी हमारे लिए मतलब ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं कि हमको कुछ चाहिए, बस बच्चे खुश रहते तो हम खुद ब खुद खुश हो जाते हैं। सही वाकई
उनके खुशी, उनकी स्माइल हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात है।
Oh God, that is some mothership goals out there. शहनाज, तनवीर, हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। हैप्पी वर्किंग मॉम्स डे। ऐसे ही काम करते रहें, आपको और हिम्मत मिले, आपको और खुशियाँ मिले, आपके बच्चे और आगे बढ़े, हमारी यही दुआ है। हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। थैंक यू। Well, and we crib about our lives. Well, that is the real tough one. Anyways, moving on from that, let's pivot a little bit. And you'll see this book has emerged behind me because that's what we're going to talk about in our next segment. Recently, the Indian Navy allowed officers and sailors to wear kurta pajama in officers' mess and sailors' institutes, right? Now, in a move to promote what they're saying is Indian traditions and Indianizing the so-called military customs or uniforms that could be colonial in their nature, right? Now, so for those of you who might not know this, what an officer, Army, Navy or Air Force wears or not is under strict guidelines. Formal wear, casual wear, what you wear in the mess, what you wear when you're hosting, etc. It's strictly marked and details have been put out and everybody, including their families, has to follow. And thus, the new code of allowing kurta pajama for men and women is a significant one. But this entire sort of Indianization of the Indian Navy dress code got us thinking about what is the history of kurta pajama itself, its heritage, its evolution as well. And while researching for this story, we thought, who better than Tarun Tehliani to talk about it? Now, over the past 3 decades, Tarun has been galvanizing Indian fashion towards celebrating Indian history, Indian legacy as well. He's dressed even Lady Gaga in his lovely drapes. So without any further ado, let me just welcome the man himself. Hi Tarun, welcome to TVC. How are you doing this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me here. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, lovely to have you as well. That bit early in the day, I guess, but I think we just had to talk about it. And we thought of you. I'll tell you specifically why when it came to the Indian Navy new dress code is because we know that your father was in the Navy. So you have a bit of a personal story attached to how the uniform has evolved, over the past few decades, and now finally the Navy embracing kurta pajama as well. Talk to us a little bit about what you thought of the move and also about kurta pajama itself. What has been the story behind it?
Well, it's very funny that you should ask me, because one of my big fights with my father for the last few years he was alive was he'd always have these dinners at the mess, you know. Ex-naval admirals always want to entertain in the mess. They're deeply attached to anything naval. And he'd always bring me and say, remember that you can't wear a kurta pajama or a churidar. And I'd say, why? Why can't I wear it? What's this colonial buck? And he'd say, now stop it. And I'd say, what's your wife wearing? And he'd say, a sari. So I said, would you like me to come in a sari? Why can they wear Indian clothes and why can't we men wear it? So it's funny that you should ask me this, because this went back and forth. Every dinner he'd ring me and say, just remember, you can't wear. And I'd say, what if Chidambaram came in? Or what if some politician came in? Are you going to yank them off and have a double standard for it? So I did actually argue with him a lot that this was terribly colonial. And even the new mess, you know, there was a big naval mess here by Delhi airport called Varuna. And I said, even when you build new things, you can't keep following the old, systems laid down by the British. That was a different time. I mean, we're now in 2000 plus. But having said that, when I did think about everyone showing up at the mess in churidar kurtas, I think if it's just a civilian kind of dinner where, I don't mean civilian, but it's certainly casual. But I think there's something to be said for military uniform when they have formal, dinners or, occasions, because they wear medals. There's a structure to uniforms. And so I think when it's off duty or it's more casual, it's totally fine to wear churidar kurtas. But I think that at ceremonial and formal things, I think that uniform signifies rank, and rank in the army or navy or air force is extremely important because there's a structure to responsibility, command, and so on and so forth. And I don't think that can be substituted.
Yeah, and we've got some lovely pictures of your father actually in that uniform. But Tarun, when we were having this conversation, I remember thinking about, we've got all those pictures playing up as well. But I wanted to talk a little bit about where this humble kurta pajama actually comes from. We again did some research, your team and our team sort of got together to understand the journey that kurta pajama has actually made over the past few decades, if not, centuries. And we see it going from
it's actually a story over
I obviously understand little about it, so I'll leave it to you to explain. Yeah, I'll leave it to you to explain what this journey has been.
Well, I'm not sure how much of this is actually accurately documented. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, our painting tradition was in the miniature form. So it was not realistic like in Europe where, you can see the different fashions through different centuries. But basically, in this part of the world, we wore the draped fabric, right? And it was lovely textiles at the lower body, upper body. The sari is still a form of that. And I think from what we know, the kurta is derived from the Persian word kurtaka, which means a tunic. There are different tribes that came down in the 2nd century and 3rd century and brought in this basic tunic and with the slits on the side. At that time, clothing was very basic and functional. And we had just made the switch from just wearing textiles draped around the body into this is the first bit of stitching that came into this part of the world through the Persians, from what we understand. And so it's evolved from there. And I think it's sort of become, in my lifetime, I've seen women wanting to give up the sari to wear a kurta on a day-to-day because their lives are very different, right? My grandmother sat at home, so she was fine in a sari. But everybody today wants to wear a kurta to work, if not jeans or a pair of pants, because it just makes running around much easier, movement easier. You don't have to manage so much fabric. Wash and laundry, as people live in tiny apartments, is much easier with a simple piece of, a straight piece of fabric. So I think that as society has moved and movement and roles of people have changed, clothing becomes closer to the body, more streamlined. It has stretch, there's more tailoring, and as we get used to that, the kurta has naturally had its own evolution.
Yeah, and even if you see the kurta pajama, the humble kurta pajama now, it seems to be having its own moment. you do a lot of menswear as well, and that's where we see sort of the drapes coming back, I mean, some of the skirting coming back to the kurta pajama.
like
Can you
I
talk to us
said-
about how it's going now?
Yeah, so like I talked about how, we went from just draping fabric into some kind of tailoring. Now that we have these tailoring techniques at our command, because we basically learned tailoring from the English. And in the last 30, 40 years, since the government of India has set up NIFs and technical institutes and brought in technology of construction, a lot of Indian kids have studied it, and they've fanned out and spread this knowledge. And also there's been a huge export industry out of India that learned tailoring to cater to the Western world. All this has poured into our own national dress form, like if you say, from a choli to a corset to the kurta, everything's had many moments. So now you have multiple things. Basically, different regions and different empires had different kinds of styles. So in North India, it was much straighter. The Pakistanis, or let's say, the Afghans to Rajasthan, wore more overlap things with ties. You had the angarkha. These were all different forms of the kurta. Obviously, in Mughal courts, they dressed them up. Chicken curry was done all over in the north. In the south, however, they stayed more to shorter tunics. It didn't become such a big thing in the south. But now, post-independence, as we know, and with the effect of Bollywood and lifestyles becoming similar, fashion travels ceaselessly up and down the country. So you'll see a lot of women in Chennai, for instance, wearing a kurta, which probably 20, 30 years back you wouldn't have. The shalwar kameez has become, the Indian staple till they switch to Western clothes, or they wear the kurti with trousers, which I must give credit to the Indian designer Monisha Jaisingh, who really made it a big fashion thing, 20, 30 years back. And it's become one of her staples, the dressy kurti that you wear with trousers. And it worked very well abroad in summer, even in Western worlds, in holiday and resort. You're in the Hamptons, you're here, there, you wear a kurti and Lucknow chicken houses. So it's an easy garment. It's been interpreted in many ways. And now you have designers like myself and many others playing with different cuts. So it makes it exciting and modern. Whether you touch the drape, you do the princess line, you do different kinds of pleats. And it's very exciting actually because it's nice. It works in our culture. It works in our climate. You do it in the softer cottons. We're not in a climate, it's nice here right now in winter, but when it's warm and hot and humid, to wear a natural cotton with a little style is so much nicer.
Dr. Anand, let me begin by asking you the most common thing. Why is it happening so much in Gen Z and millennials? I'm trying to understand. Sedentary lifestyle can't be the only reason, right?
Good morning, everybody. The main reason is dehydration, that is ingestion of less water. Ideally, you should have 2 to 3 liters of water every day. And that water should not be morning 1 liter, afternoon 1 liter and evening 1 liter. You should have 1 to 2 glasses of water every 1 to 2 hours so that the kidney remains hydrated.
I see.
Next
so
cause is-
consistent intake of water,
Yes.
not at one go.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Next is the dietary intake. What has happened is the fast food, which is too much into meat, red meat, something like say, which is 240 grams a day can lead to uric acid formation. The colas, tea, coffee, brinjal, then seedy vegetables.
No, hold on. I'm having coffee right now.
Yeah.
When doctors say tea, coffee leads to it, I always want to check how much. It's not like one glass of or 1 cup of coffee is going to lead to kidney stones, right?
One in the morning and one in the evening should be good enough.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who are working, especially the Gen Z that what we are talking about, constantly sipping of coffee. Now this causes a bit of dehydration part because it is also something called as a diuretics to the kidney, because of which you keep on passing urine. So if it is not replaced by regular water, what happens is all the salts come together and there is a metabolic imbalance which happens at the level of the kidney tubules. So the electrolytes gets precipitated, they form the salts, they form the crystals, they grow into stones and the stones start growing. So most important thing is the water, and water intake is the most important thing.
So essentially the takeaway here is drink loads of water. Dehydration could be a major cause and that should be solving some problems for people. But doctor, I've also understood kidney pains, the little experience I've seen in my family, it can get really bad. Like women have compared it to going into labor, being as bad as that. Those were the words of my mother-in-law who told me once. It was so bad she was reminded of her labor. But how do you tell? But it takes a long time to understand what's causing the pain. Is there a distinct feature of the pain that tells you that this is probably a stone?
You're absolutely correct here. This pain can be second worst pain after delivery pain. That's what the studies have shown. Now, this pain starts at the level of the kidney, which we call it as the renal angle, and we classically call it in medical terms as loin to groin pain. It starts in the back and
Loin
comes
to groin
loin to groin pain.
Huh.
That is the kidney situated behind. So the pain starts in the behind in the rib cage and starts coming towards your urethra or your testes. So it's a very classical pain which we call it as a loin to groin pain, which is usually associated with nausea and vomiting. Always look for any discoloration of urine in the form of maybe red color in the urine, which we call it as an hematuria. Because if the stone touches any part of the kidney, ureter or bladder, what happens is it causes a bit of bleeding in there and the color of your urine can change.
Up against.
Yes.
Yeah.
So whenever you have these kind of problems, never neglect them. Always do a sonography, which is available in every nook and corner of city, and you can very well diagnose a problem of the stone. Because these problems of the stone are not only causing this kind of pain and hematuria or bleeding, it can cause problems to the kidney because the pressure which is induced by the stones, which we call it as a back pressure changes. And many a time we see that if the stone's pain is neglected, stone remains there in the body.
Is this kidney stone pain frequent, or does it happen at regular intervals? That's the reason why people might say ignore it. It could be several other things in your organ that's causing the pain, right?
Let us understand the mechanism of kidney pain. The stone never causes pain. The stone, when from the kidney comes down and gets stuck into a tube which is called as ureter, that is the time the pain, the kidney gets full, the capsule gets stretched, that's where the nerve endings are and you start getting pain. Now, whenever small amount of urine starts passing by the side of the stone, the pain gets relieved. So, it is an intermittent pain and very excruciating pain. So, once anybody gets a kidney stone pain, as you have said, nobody can forget that this is a kidney stone pain.
All right, which brings me to the next question. Then what is the treatment available then?
Nowadays, first thing what we have to understand is that once a stone former can always be a stone former. So, the prevalence rate...
Meaning it could be hereditary.
It can be hereditary, it can be genetic predisposition. And once you form a stone, there is a possibility that every year you have
coming back.
7% chance of having these stones.
Gosh, huh.
So at the end of 5 years, you're looking at about 50% of recurrence of the stone. So whenever you offer treatment, it is always minimally invasive or non-invasive. What we call it by non-invasive is that there is no, it's not going to be any cut or stitch on the body. What we do is we do something called as a lithotripsy, which is the electrohydraulic or electromagnetic waves, which go inside, break the stones and clear into powder form. There is a complete game changer equipment which has come up in last 3 to 4 years time. That's we call it as a flexible ureteroscopy or RIRS, retrograde intrarenal surgery. As the word suggests, retrograde it is, we go from the urethra. It's like a small tubular thing which we can change its direction, go
I think
inside
we have
the
a
kidney.
graphic representation of that. I'll request my producers to put that up on the screen as well. Yeah.
And it does go and looks at the stone, and through that we have got a channel through which we go inside and break the stone with the lasers. Now here what we are showing is this is latest equipment which has come into market, which is available for last 1 to 2 years. This is, we call it as a classical stone cone. Now what happens is whenever you are treating this stone, the stone can get migrated back into the kidney. So what we do is we have this stone cone on top of the stone and then we go with the scope. Now this is what we are showing here is a rigid ureteroscope through which we have put in a small laser fiber, and with the laser fiber we are pulverizing or breaking the stones. The idea is to break the stone into less than 2 to 3 millimeter particles so that it can pass on its own. Now with this stone cone what we can do is when you are pulling down the stone, we can very break the stone. Now here what we are showing here is this is the flexible ureteroscopy, that's what it is in there. This is the laser fiber which is coming in there, which is breaking the stone into small fragments.
How fascinating. I'm sure there is so many of these things but precaution is better than
Yes,
cure, right?
the
so
take-home
thing
message
is,
should be always that prevention is
hydrated.
always yes. Stay hydrated. Don't eat junk food. Don't eat processed meat. See to it that the salt intake, sodium is very less in your body because that is what is going to cause at the level of the tubules metabolic changes, because of which there is more of excretion of proteins as well as salts, which are going to come together and form small fragments, and over a period of time they are going to grow in size.
Right, and also stay fit.
Stay fit.
Yeah.
Most important.
Get exercising.
Yes. In fact, too much exercise or too less exercise, going into this dietary fads in the form of ketogenic diets or protein shakes, etc., they also lead to this stone formation.
I'm very glad you mentioned that, because we did a full episode only on how much exercise is too much exercise, and I'm so glad doctors are now openly addressing these as well. Sahil goes out for a lot of reporting. He has a bit of tan on his face, he told me. And by the way, all this Sahil told me, so he was very concerned about how he's looking on air. So Sahil, why don't you explain what's your issue and what can we do?
So as ma'am said, that I go a lot for a lot of shoots outside, and also I travel a lot. So tan and a lot of different pollution and everything is a concern.
Right.
So, and a lot of people are now providing information and asking people to do that 7-step routine, 10 steps face care routine. But do we really have to follow it?
I mean, you know, if you want to do the 7-step routine, just do it. Just remember that you're making the company richer. It's doing nothing for you on your skin, because the thing is, after the first 2 layers, nothing's really happening in your skin. But you think he's really tan, or he's just fishing for compliments now?
I don't know.
But
let's try out something.
Can
on
I tell
it.
you
So
something very simple? Come, step into my office. First of all, if you ever have a tan, first thing to do is that very day when you come back, you take a tomato, you put some sugar on it, cut it, and you rub it on your face. That's the reason. It's called lycopene.
Oh.
The lycopene, that enzyme will make sure your tan doesn't set. That's one great way to do it. But the one thing I'm going to teach you, which is, since we are talking about like multiple step routines, is the Korean glass skin. Some of us here seem to be naturally blessed with great skin.
It's just makeup, guys. I promise it's makeup. I have dark circles, really bad ones.
She looks fantastic. She just wanted to hear that. Okay, now I'm going to teach you something incredible. Abhi the whole funda about Korean skin.
Yeah.
Everyone knows glass skin is fermented rice, right? But I'm going to tell you one paras ka nuska which will take that fermented rice game to another level. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to soak the rice in water, but don't soak it in water. Soak it in rose water.
Okay.
Now that makes a huge difference, because why is it that everyone loves rose water so much? It was the one thing which was everywhere, because it does make your skin baby soft. Okay, and that is incredible. Now in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in 1 tea bag.
Okay.
Okay, and you're going to leave this concoction for the night.
Okay.
Now this is going to be fermenting. All right, so once it starts fermenting, and you could very well drink it. But what this is going to do is, once you actually, the best way to do is in the morning, take this, put this in a bottle like this, okay? It becomes like a puss. So it becomes easier. Now, on the beautiful boy, when you've got this, all right, this is going to massively refresh you. And the best part is it's not sticky. But what is the fermented rice doing? Any tanning, any pigmentation, all of that will go away. Plus, it'll give you that really nice elasticity. So what is Korean skin?
Where is that coming from? The rice?
From the fermented rice and from the green tea, which is antioxidants.
Right,
so
and also smells really nice because of rose water.
Because of the rose water.
I'm feeling right.
And feeling very fresh,
the whole
right?
thing,
He's very happy.
That's what we do. Now the thing is, Korean glass skin is what? It's basically you have no blemishes, right? The moment it's poreless glass, मतलब कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है. That's what the 3 of these things will do. Of course, if you're on the field, you're running around, you've got a lot of dirt and grime, make sure when you come home, you wash your face and then you go to sleep. But he's actually got great skin.
So apply this and wear your sunscreen and go out. That's number 1. Sunscreen is a tip I learned during my reporting days. Like that's the only thing that will save your skin and from aging.
So the funny part about sunscreen is everyone puts on this sunscreen in the morning, not realizing actually your sunscreen is absolutely ineffective after 2 hours.
Yes.
Now how many people really take it? I'm sure when you're going and shooting with Bipasha
you don't
Basu
have
or with
time to
Kareena,
reapply.
you've done the first one. You want to look nice for the actors or whoever you're meeting. But after 2 hours, you've forgotten. So the tip is, if you're using a sunscreen, actually reapply it, because otherwise...
But your skin is all dirty at the time. How do you reapply?
Well, then you get one of the new sunscreens, which is a powder sunscreen, or you get like a sunscreen stick. The traditional sunscreen with the white cast, that was different. That was chip-chippa. Your face would look like it's a tawa and rasmalai all put together, all right? But the new ones, the newer sunscreens are brilliant. So when you put it on, you're just going to be glowing. And here's the thing, you'll suddenly go from behind the camera to on the camera.
All right, so that was just a sneak peek, but what we have for you is more than a sneak peek. I'm surrounded by these beautiful Bhagwatis all around me, and I also have Puneet Anand here with us. She's the founder for the luxury pop, and when Puneet and I were chatting, I was amazed at how big the market is, how many people are opting for
like I said, the non-cool version is second-hand. The cooler version is pre-loved luxury bags. And there was a time, Puneet, when people thought second-hand, like we can't buy that.
Yeah.
But now people take pride in the fact that, listen, I'm being environmentally conscious and I have opted for a pre-loved bag.
Yes.
And what's the age group like? Tell me, who all are coming to you and what are the conversations when they're picking up a bag?
So we are basically online, and we also do a lot of exhibitions. So what we have noticed is that a lot of gentry comes from between 18 to 40 to even to 55 years old, coming aunties coming to shop pre-loved luxury. Thanks to a lot of celebrities who are advocating the idea of owning pre-owned, of reusing, of recycling. I think this awareness, rising awareness of all this conscious shopping has brought the Gen Z and millennials to come and shop pre-loved.
Yeah, and we have some of them over here. So Puneet has got them, but I have to start with this beauty over here.
Yeah.
I want to give our viewers an idea of what it means to have a pre-loved bag. How much does it cost, right? That is going to be the first question. When you say pre-loved, the price is it's lower, but not very.
Yeah.
I'll request my producers to run the graphics that we have on how much this costs, a fresh one and a second-hand one. But why don't you talk to us a little bit about this?
Okay, this is the mini Lady Dior. And in the retail, a fresh piece would come around 4 lakhs. And a pre-love like this one would be around 2.2. And the significance is, of course, the Dior charms. And it was introduced because it was gifted first to Princess Diana.
Yeah.
And that's the significance of this bag. And now if you go to the store, it's around 4 lakhs. So it's a classic and it's an investment worthy piece. So if you buy from us, you can resell with us and at least get about 70% value of what you spent.
But you know, the thing with luxury items, it's just that money can't buy it. There's this famous dialogue, I don't know, for all of you who have seen Sex and the City, where she goes to the store and she's eyeing a Birkin.
Oh, yes.
And she says, Samantha is there and she says that, and she's looking at it like it's this piece of meat that she really needs.
Yeah, it's the famous Birkin, right?
Yeah, it's that famous Birkin. She looks at it and she says, and the person selling it to her says that, ma'am, it's just about $400. She says, I know. She says, there is a waiting and a wait list. She says, I know. But then he says, the waiting is 5 years.
Yes, very, very true.
That still happens in India as well. So if you want to own a fresh bag, just money cannot buy it. You have to wait. You have to be on the short list. And there is a whole list of things you have to do if you want to own these bags. So this is a cool and easy way, if you call it.
You can easily get a Birkin in a second-hand luxury market. But in case you need to go to the store, you have a wait list, you have a spending wish list. So I think you easily have to wait for good 2-3 years minimum to get your dream bag.
Wow, wow. But the thing with, Puneet, these bags is, the question that often comes to my mind is, how do we know these are authentic?
Right.
Because the market in India for these duplicates is so massive. Like I can go to High Street in Mumbai or Janpat in Delhi and they'll sell me bags which I can't tell if they are new or no. So if somebody is shelling out like 2 lakhs for a bag like this, what kind of authentication are you guys doing or the industry generally following?
Yeah, so I do understand that people who, of course, come to us and who are buying second-hand, the main concern is authenticity. And when we started back, of course, 10 years ago, it was also our main concern then. So being in the business and being in the luxury market, buying so many luxury pieces since about 15 to 18 years now, of course, we have our own hands-on experience about physically authenticating. We have these major guidelines we follow. And then we've tied up with these US authentication partners, which are thankfully, because of their rising certification and authenticity experts now, now they provide us these certificates which are verified, and because of which that gives us credibility of being in the market.
Yeah, but hold on, tell me this, anybody can give certificates. I can just type on ChatGPT right now and say that producer sells certificate and
No,
give
so
that.
they come with
Is
these
there a particular company, agency, authority that one must look for in authentication?
Yeah, so in the market, there are these agencies. There's Real Authentication, there is Legit Grails, there is Legit App. These are what are known in the US and in the Europe. And everyone looks up to them in the market to get their pieces, even newly bought pieces, if you feel like you haven't bought. Because a lot of times people have bought from these multi-designer stores in Europe and they have been sold fake goods.
Oh Lord.
And these experts are there because they have worked with these brands directly for so many years and they're certified.
Stopwatch.
Okay, I
begins.
want to know what is your concern first.
So basically, my hair looks very flat. I want something so that I can
She
amp
wants a Beyonce bounce.
Okay, we got you.
10 seconds in.
No, don't do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie 2 ponytails with your hair. One right here. Really simple, 2 pigtails, school vibe. You know, you can do this by yourself. Pretty simple. And then I'm going to take a curling iron. You can do this with an iron. And I'm just going to curl the rest mid to the length of the ponytail.
The whole thing?
Yeah?
Don't you need like sections and all?
No, 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 no. You do it yourself, you just do it like this. You curl it, keep it for a few seconds. And you leave it there. Same thing, you curl it, and there's no really particular direction. You can curl it inward or you can curl it outward. Just from the mids to the ends. Because it's the whole section.
1.5 minutes in.
We have lots
The
of
way
time.
he's going, I think he finished before time. What's happening here?
You know, it's all about finding out simple and easy ways to style your hair every day.
That's what a girl on the go needs.
Absolutely. Having a flat iron or a curling iron is a nice investment one can make.
Yeah, and a good one that doesn't
Yeah.
like, burn your hair out.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to just let it be. And I'm going to start with my other girl. What is your concern? Hello.
So if I want to go to a party but I'm still at the office, how do I amp up my look in just 3 to 4 minutes? How
And
do I
this is how you wear your hair to the office.
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay, so let's put your hair.
She's got colored
maybe
hair.
up.
It's also been worked out a little bit here.
Correct. Do you like tying your hair maybe?
Yeah, works.
And do you like a center parting or a side parting?
No, side parting on
Side
my
parting.
right.
Let's give you what you're comfortable with. And we don't really need to use any products as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little water spray on the hairline. We're going to go for a slick kind of a look.
Is that a trend these days?
Yeah, you know, slick hair just brings out your facial structure and it just makes you look snatched. And you just take all your hair up.
My gosh, it's just 3 minutes. Time is running slow. What is happening?
So,
And what brush is this you're using? This is not your
it's
regular-
just a normal, back combing brush. You can use any brush. You can use your normal comb as well. So what I'm going to do is, usually I would use a lot of hairspray for shoots and stuff because that's where you need the hair to stay. But when you're doing it for yourself, you don't really need to use
That's
hairspray
nice.
as such.
With
You
hair
can
and hair
just
products, less is more.
yeah, and water does the trick.
Yeah.
And you just take a rubber band, you tie it there. You can use any rubber band.
He's using a fancy one. Ask him.
I'm using a fancy one. And then what I'm going to do is, again, some more water spray.
I'll hold that for you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going to twist. Do you want to look at the left?
Just to see?
No.
The other side.
Right. So I'm going to twist it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to assist me on this job
Alrighty,
because
4 minutes
usually
down.
I have my assistant on the job.
Well, that's
with
the
me.
least I can do after all the compliments I've got from Amit today. No? Tell me what you need.
Yes, I need you to hold a few pins for me.
There you
Just
go.
gonna do this. And this. So, we were at
Twist.
water spray.
Yeah.
Simple twist. Twist, 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 twist. And as you're twisting, you keep securing with these little U-pins, which is very easily available
Yeah.
at any drugstore or a beauty supply store. Twist more.
Just blink it, guys. That's the one. That's the thing people do these days.
Yeah, blink it, right? It's the thing now.
We are not paid to say this, I must say. Just came out.
Twist even more. I hope the camera can see this.
I hope so. Yeah, Dik.
And
Nice. So the good old, what my mum used to call juda pins. That's
Yeah.
that's what's coming to the rescue here.
absolutely.
One more.
And we don't really need to make it super clean or super, you know, neat, because it's all about texture, it's all about hair falling out, it's all about that lived-in kind of look, you know. Yeah. So at the end,
Let me do a time check. We are almost 6 minutes.
at the end, you take the flyaways, you take all of that, put some more water spray, brush it all in.
So the pro tip is in the brush that you use, because a comb can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the pro tip over here.
Look in front for me.
Nice.
And if you like something like that, your hair, you know, your hair coming on your forehead and giving you a little bit of a shape, that's also something you can do.
Suchi, do you like what you see over
Yeah,
there?
looks fancy.
Fancy is the word.
Look at that. That's just what Deepika Padukone does all the time with her hair, doesn't she?
Yeah.
We're done with her.
Oh, wow.
And
Not bad.
if
That was
you
quick.
have a shine spray to make it more glamorous, just go on with a little bit of shine spray, a shine serum. There we have it. With her, we're going to come back, open these two little pigtails, and then, since you see like a little bit of flatness here, I'm going to go ahead with a little bit of a dry shampoo to amp up the volume in her hair. You can also use just baby powder if you don't have dry shampoo at home. And then I'm going to ask her to put her head down for me. Just shake it up a little bit.
Not the morning Suchi knew she was having on national television.
And then come back.
Ooh, there we go. Oh, man.
We've got some movement here. We've got some curl here.
That's awesome.
Yeah?
Awesome.
From straight to bouncy blowout in like
Man.
few minutes. There we have it.
Nice. Oh my God, you're done?
Yes. How
And the
much
time is
is it?
7:52.
Look.
Damn,
Right?
guys. Well done, ladies. Verdict?
10 out of 10, I'd say.
Oh, wow. He is the director for pulmonology and sleep apnea at the Nanamati Max Super Speciality Hospital. He deals with sleep medicine and, of course, is the expert. And it's time now to understand a few things from him. The first thing I want to understand, doctor, is, and a lot of people don't know about this, is the difference between good quality sleep and bad quality sleep, where you feel like you've been on the bed for so long, you locked in your 8 hours, but it didn't do anything for your body. So can you take us through what is the difference? How do you tell the difference?
Yeah. So first of all, good morning, and I hope everyone had a refreshing sleep. You gave fantastic statistics. I should also tell you that in that entire day of 24 hours, the most neglected part is the sleep. Because we are all busy working and so on and so forth, and sleep is something.
You plan your day, but you don't plan your sleep.
Don't plan your sleep,
Yeah.
and we feel ki sleep is okay. I can sleep for 5 hours. I have got this deadline to meet, and I need to wake up and do on it. So we don't pay attention to what is called as the quality of sleep, and that's what's the theme for World Sleep Day: the global equality, or we call about the quality for health, sleep health. So sleep is divided into different parts. And that is all controlled by our hormones. That is the sleep center. And the sleep center decides the quality of sleep. Our breathing, for that matter, is also controlled during sleep. So sometimes if our quality of sleep is not good, our breathing slows down, our heart slows down to such a level that sometimes there's a missed beat.